I wake up to 25 missed calls. I thought it's because I was incredibly popular. However, when I started to listen to calls, it was like, this is the chief of the Toronto Fire Service. We're going to need you to come down to your condo immediately. It has been impacted by a very serious balcony fire. And then from
That's an
condo
incredible Canadian accent, by the way. Oh my God.
I thought that was dubbed. That was so weird.
Tim, what an incredible shift.
This is a very serious story.
He's merging into a Canadian.
But that was
right before
wild.
our eyes.
I am tripping out right now. That was so weird.
He did that better than I could.
You're listening to the Laughing Couple podcast with your hosts, Brittany and Ryan Ostafy. Join them weekly as they discuss topics such as relationships, kids, sex, parenting, all unfiltered and all with a healthy dose of laughter. Please welcome your hosts, Brittany and Ryan Ostafy.
Hello.
Hey. We have a guest today.
I love guests.
This is Tim. Hi, Tim.
Tim.
Hello.
Well, this is we can't just start it like that.
I know, but
this
hold
is
on.
Tim.
I just want to hear.
Hey, Tim.
I just want to hear his voice, and I need to pre-warn you. Sometimes I do this thing. Ryan does it too. It's like a chameleon thing. When somebody has an accent at the end of it, I feel like I'm not making fun of you. I just feel like my brain is like, no, I think you're also talking like this, so I might mimic your accent, not in a rude way. I'm so jealous of it.
Let's slowly morph into British accents by the end of
Oh my God, I
show.
absolutely love that. Okay, go.
So by slowly, he means
Right now.
like it, over the course of the next 30 minutes, Brittany, not next sentence.
Sorry. Okay.
Tim Johnson.
Yes.
Now, Tim Johnson isn't just Tim Johnson.
No,
Tim Johnson is the founder, CEO of an unbelievable app called Couply.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you haven't heard of Couply, we're going to highly recommend that you do. And we're going to get into that in a millisecond. But we thought, now that we've said that, hello, Tim.
Hello, Tim.
Hey, guys. Hi.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing so well. We were just talking about it. It's second summer here in Toronto. We've got a second go round. It's autumn, but it's summer. I'm outside walking, enjoying the hot weather, watching the leaves go red. Couldn't be happier right now. It's amazing.
Totally agree.
The Jays are in the playoffs. By the time anyone hears this, the Jays will no longer be in the playoffs.
I feel like, though, I wish we were just talking about this. I wish that they did Halloween. Like if they said the first week or first weekend in October, Halloween, no matter what it is, because by the end of October, it's freaking freezing out. And the kids, like I always see movies where all the kids are in these cute little costumes. Like, no, Canadians, like we're wearing them over our parkas. Like it's so hideous and it sucks for the kids.
Those are Americans and they're in like the they're southern or like
I know
western.
But
side
can you
of the
imagine
world.
this weather for Halloween?
You know what? The thing about Halloween, and this has nothing to do with Tim, by the way.
Nothing.
Like, wow. Anyways, this is one of the most interesting men in the world. And here we are talking about Halloween, but I digress.
Get into it.
I digress. So with Halloween, why is it not a floating holiday?
I know, it's so weird.
Like I realize that the 31st is supposed to be All Hallows Eve, but like, do people really celebrate the All Hallows Eve of Halloween?
Some.
Well, do you think enough?
I don't think the kids do.
To not have it a floating holiday? It should never be during the week. It should always be on a Friday or a Saturday.
Always.
And like, it's not like you can be like, okay, next Saturday the weather's supposed to be good. We're going to do Halloween then. I'm not saying that. I'm saying early on, but always on a weekend.
I agree. Okay.
Huge
Tim.
insight. No, this is fantastic. Let's bump it forward. First Friday in October. We are now celebrating Halloween. You heard it here first.
Can you imagine all of us?
It needs to happen.
Okay, Tim, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Mine, like we already edified you, but more detailed version and kind of explain what Couply is to our listeners.
Absolutely. Everyone, so wonderful to be here. Tim, founder of Couply. And what Couply is a relationship improvement app that helps couples get on the same page and stay on the same page. So important. We are not a dating app. Mm-hmm. We are not a couples finding other couples to hook up with app. We are a app that helps.
We can go now. I'm kidding.
Oh no, sorry.
See you later.
No, I'm kidding. Yeah.
We're
Didn't do our research on this one.
I get that so many times. People eyes light up. They're like, wow, I've been looking for an app just like this. Yeah, we can really help you with your relationship stuff. This is the help we need. Perfect. So can you match me and my wife with other couples? No, that is not something that we do at the moment. That's a different app. It's called Failed. It already exists. Good luck. So we really help couples improve their relationship. We're pretty into psychology, personality tests, quizzes in the app. So we get couples to answer new questions, discover new things, take personality quizzes. But what's really neat, because we're a tech company, is that we then use people's answers to the quizzes that they've done on Couply to give them custom date ideas, custom relationship advice that's actually based on where they're at in their relationship. And that's getting very exciting for us. And that's where I see the future in relationship technology. And that's where we're heading towards.
I've got goosies. I did not know that you guys use that data to literally personalize a date for this couple. That is so cool. I think that's so cool.
I just love that. I just love that I sent you this like 2 weeks ago. And you
no. I heard of the app and I just didn't know that detail about it. Like I knew that you guys were providing like questions and like questionnaires, but that's so cool. Like that's such a personalized thing. I just think that's cool.
Data is king. And the fact that you guys understand that and you guys are maximizing it is absolutely incredible.
And the app has been featured in like some prominent publications. So don't slide over that. Tell us more.
Yeah. We're an award-winning app, which is awesome. We won Collision Conference, which is the largest tech conference in North America. And we've been featured in Cosmopolitan, TechCrunch, Business Insider, Blogto, most importantly, if you have a Canadian listenership as well. And this is just the beginning, though. We're really just getting started. And I didn't want to also brush over what you said around the personalization, because it ties into something that I truly believe in, that in most relationships, definitely in the people that are using Couply, each partner really does want to do things for their partner in a way that they'll appreciate, but sometimes they just didn't know what those things were. And so once they have it laid out to them in black and white, this is something your partner will love, they get a little bit more confident. They start booking dates by themselves. They start coming up with things, doing that labor and surprising their partner with a really nice moment.
So I want to get into the psychology of the app and go a little bit deeper than the stuff that you're talking about. But before we do that, to personalize yourself to our community, you are a human being. You are in a relationship.
Yeah.
You are in control of a phenomenal app, and there is some annoyance that still exists in your relationship, correct?
Yeah, I'm a human, and I think hopefully I definitely want to say this, is that I am a work in progress. I don't have all the answers. I'm figuring this shit out, same as everyone else. And a lot of the things are from the mistakes that I've made, from the mistakes that my friends have made, from the things that our users have written into us and being like, hey, we keep butting heads about this. And that's where it's all based on. I am definitely a work in progress, and our relationship is a work in progress. So
right. Okay,
so that's what it should be. So let's get the juicy details. So you're in a wonderful relationship. Yep. You've been in it for quite some time. Let's find out what annoys you about.
I love you,
your
but
partner.
you're annoying. I mean,
I love my partner, but oh my goodness, are there some things that are annoying? Here's the big one for us, and I'll preface it like everyone says. I think I have more annoying things about me than my partner does about her. So shout out to my partner Mary on this. But babe, holy heck, here is my ultimate pet peeve. I'm team 6 a.m. I'm a morning person. I love to wake up a little bit early, get some stuff done, morning coffee. I'm that annoying person. My partner is team 8:30 a.m. She likes to roll out of bed, wash her face, start work. So I go to bed earlier than her. But in the week, my partner loves to scroll on her phone at night. Okay, nothing too bad. Understandable. 2 problems with that. 3 problems with that. Number 1, volume is on. Volume is on.
The worst.
Right? When I'm, and this is like my sleepy time. So volume is on. Brightness is not at 0. It's not at 15. Brightness is at 100. final thing, bedside lamp is on. And I'm like, babe, do we really need to have the bedside lamp on? Can't that get switched off when I'm trying to sleep and you want to go on your phone? Like, surely. And she's like, I'd love to switch my lamp off. Like, of course I understand that this is bugging you, but babe, like my eyes could get strained. I could lose my sight. So I just can't. And that has been an annoyance. We figured it out. We've come to a compromise. We have rules around this. We're not going, it's not too crazy up in here. But that has definitely been an annoyance that we've been figuring out.
That's definitely valid. I feel like Ryan's also a morning person. He gets up at like 5:30 and does all of the things. I get up at 7:30, and it's what? Pardon me. I've literally never got up later than 7:30 if the kids are sleeping and through the week.
If the kids are awake, you mean?
I was up before you today and yesterday. So this is a hilarious conversation.
I was with our sick child.
No, you weren't.
I didn't sleep either night.
You were sleeping. Anyways, it doesn't matter. I get what you're saying. That would be very annoying. I also think that like scrolling your phone is something that is like detrimental to your sleep too, because your brain does not shut off. And there's something like there's some shit with blue light or something. Doesn't that like trigger something in your brain? I love to read at night, so I have my little Kindle, but there is a black setting. So like it's like the dark mode.
We've learned to just not go to bed at the same time. So
we really don't.
We had a phenomenal coach. She's been on the podcast a couple times, Haley Patry, and she always talks about going to bed together. She said the couple can go to bed together. They don't have to stay to bed together. So like if I'm a night hawk, which believe it or not, I'm also a night hawk. So it's really strange. I don't sleep very much.
It's wild.
I got the Arnold Schwarzenegger time slot. But she said, go to bed together, say your goodnights together, lay in bed together. And then if you're a night hawk, just get out of bed. And that doesn't work for us either.
No. Great advice.
So
doesn't work.
So we just, I say goodnight to Brittany and she goes upstairs and I stay downstairs and that seems to work because if she doesn't fall asleep before I enter the room, I start snoring before she falls asleep. I fall asleep in like
3 seconds. Honest
to God. If I'm not asleep in 5 minutes, I get up. I'm like, I guess I'm not ready to go to sleep.
You were snoring and it's a snoring thing. Like,
and I'm a snorer.
So bad.
Especially in a hotel.
I'm actually quite jealous of people who can fall asleep that quick. Are you the same?
I'm in 15 seconds. Yeah.
Oh, screw you too, Tim.
And sometimes my girlfriend tries to talk to me and I'll wake back up. I'm like, what's happening? She's like, I was just finishing the sentence. And then you woke up at the end of it. And in my mind, like 3 years in a dream have passed. I already have a family in my dream. I can do magic in the dream. And then I get like shaken out of it, you know?
Bloody Inception.
Okay. So
this is a true story about sleeping together. We've never admitted this, but when we go to a hotel, we were just in Vegas.
Oh, yes, we have admitted this.
When we go to a hotel, you think, oh my God, you get a big king size bed, nice view of the city. No, we get 2 queen size mattresses.
100%.
We have our sex bed and we have our sleep bed.
Perfect.
I sleep in the sex bed.
Yeah,
naturally. I knew you'd sleep in the sex bed.
And Brittany sleeps in the sleep bed.
That's great.
And we have to be as far apart on each other as possible because I snore.
Listen, I was so close to fully killing Ryan, like just completely smothering him in the middle of the night because mixed with drinking and then like not sleeping and he was just like Chewbacca. I hovered there with the pillow for an alarming amount of time.
I woke up. It was scary. But the problem is in hotels, as you know, they don't have the humidity that your normal house has, and it's dry. And I wake up, and my teeth are stuck to my lip. Bad. Or my lips are stuck to my teeth. And I know for a fact the entire time I wasn't breathing through my nose because it's plugged up. It's a gong show. Anyways, let's go back to what we're actually talking about, eh?
Mm-hmm. Halloween.
Yeah, Halloween. Yeah, c'est Halloween. So, Tim, you and I had an unbelievable conversation before we left on our vacation. And you told me essentially what happened and why you created Couply. And I think that's a really good place for us to start. Mm-hmm. So let's dive into why you created this app in the first place. And then we can get into like the cool stuff that the app does, but more importantly, what it does for couples and how we can kind of work through some of these things.
Amazing. I think a narrative over my life is that most of my life seems to have been made up of various different failures. And the failure that I'll talk about now is, unfortunately and sadly, being on a relationship and family podcast, the failure of my first marriage. And we were together for around 9 years, married for 3, and ended up getting divorced. After we got divorced, I moved from beautiful Regina, Saskatchewan, still love the place, back to my parents in London, England, and started to work on myself, which in man talk is getting jacked, but doing a little bit of the reading as well. I will be honest, I'd say at that point, I was more going on the path of let's get in shape, let's get my business life together and start moving on and trying out some of these dating apps. Fast forward a little bit, I'm in Toronto, I've bought a condo, I've explored the dating apps, and I'm actually in an incredible relationship with my current girlfriend. And disaster struck. So finally felt like I was back on my feet. Had a condo in Toronto, was decorated my awesome patio, lots of patio furniture out there, umbrella, plants, hot summer's day. It's my birthday. It's actually 40 degrees on July 21st. My girlfriend takes me away to Grand Bend. I wake up to 25 missed calls. I thought it was because I was incredibly popular. However, when I started to listen to calls, it was like, this is the chief of the Toronto Fire Service. We're going to need you to come down to your condo immediately. It has been impacted by a very serious balcony fire. And then from
that's an
condo
incredible Canadian accent, by the way. Oh my God.
I thought that was dubbed. That was so weird.
Tim, what an incredible shift.
This is a very serious story.
He's merging into a Canadian.
But that was
right before
wild.
our eyes.
I am tripping out right now. That was so weird.
He did that better than I could. Go ahead. Sorry, I'm
continue.
sorry. Please, this is a horrific story.
My condo had been destroyed by the craziest balcony fire that had ever been seen. It was because some dickhead from above threw a lit cigarette, but it was 40 degrees for that week. It somehow got nestled in an umbrella, my plant pot maybe. It caused this huge fire that went into the condo, smashed it, caused over $1 million of damage to the building.
Oh my God.
It was gutted. And I remember meeting my insurance adjuster there, and he was like, okay, let's go in and have a look. I'm going to have to go through every room, and we're going to go through everything together. We open the door, and he's like, nope. He's like, I'm sorry, this is actually a nice shirt. You guys, you qualify for everything. It's the max. Don't need to do anything. I'm not going in there. I was like, wow, okay.
Was he Canadian?
Everything.
It's in Toronto.
Well, I just want to, could you redo that with the accent? Because I feel like it wasn't.
Wow, this is intense. I am not going in there.
Yeah.
I'm still very impressed.
Oh my God, that's wild.
It was a Canadian, yeah. Yeah, and so I lost everything. My girlfriend, we had been official for coming up 6 months. And so fairly new. And she said, hey, like they said, it's going to probably take 3 months it's going to take 3 months to rebuild. Move in with me. It did not take 3 months to rebuild. It took a year to rebuild.
Oh
but
my God.
I moved in with my girlfriend. Very kind of her to do this because quite frankly, if I wasn't living with her, I'd have been sharing a basement with like 8 different guys,
right.
And sharing probably a room or something like that, sharing bunk beds with like 4 guys in a basement in Toronto. So thank you to my girlfriend for saving me from that.
Yeah.
But as I moved in with her, I was suddenly starting to feel really nervous because I was divorced, homeless, and if this relationship didn't work out, I would be back on the streets in every sense of the term. And I really felt a little bit scared. And I remember just thinking, okay, there must be a product out there that can really help couples like us. We don't necessarily need marriage therapy. We're in the honeymoon phase. We have a great relationship, but to deepen the foundations, strengthen our relationship, and we just want to make sure that we can last the stand of time. 43% of marriages dissolve in divorce. 65% of second marriages dissolve in divorce. And I didn't want to be part of that stat. So as I looked on the App Store for something that could help us, I didn't find anything. And that's when the idea for Couply struck me so hard. Even the name, I was thinking, oh, if I was going to make an app like this, like I'd probably call it something like Couply. And I was like, Couply, GoDaddy, it's available. Yeah. Instagram handle available. And I started to that night just stay up. And I'm not a night owl. I'm a morning person. But that night I could not sleep. Made a deck of the idea, sent it out to a friend of mine. I worked at an app, so I knew people in the app space. And the idea for Couply was born, and that's how we got going.
That's so authentic and organic. I love that it was like it didn't exist. So you were like, well, if somebody isn't going to create it, like I will. It's always that idea that good ideas have a shelf life. Like you have to jump on them or somebody else will eventually do it. That's so sad. I'm sorry about all of those things, but also very
sorry that we spent half the time laughing about your accent.
It's the best thing that's ever happened to me. I will always remember how my partner looked after me when everything was going wrong, like, and just coming in and like her being the person to help empty out, clean all the stuff. We did that together. I'll never forget that. So it was the biggest blessing in disguise. Did not realize it then, but without that, I would never have had Couply. I don't think our relationship would be in the way it would. Like it's been unbelievable.
It's all those like everything. I mean, it's a lame saying, but it's so true. Everything happens for a reason.
I was going to use a lame saying, but it wasn't going to be that one.
Which one was it?
Well, it's not a lame saying. It's true. It's every breakdown has an opportunity for a breakthrough. Yeah. Right. You just, if you live in the world of gratitude, you start looking at this and saying, what is there for me to discover with this breakdown? And as soon as you start looking at what there is to discover in that breakdown, usually the breakthrough comes through in terms of a thought. And then obviously thoughts require a ridiculous amount of action, which you have been in for the last long time now. So let's get into the actual app itself.
I want to talk about, so yes, this is part of the app, but you have like in our pre-notes and our show notes, you're talking about how you have specific relationship rules and hacks. Can you kind of like explain a little bit more? First of all, we obviously know there's no nightside table light, number one.
Yeah, well, exactly. A rule is lights off at 11 p.m. is now a rule. So that lights go off at 11 p.m. That's a very, very reasonable rule, I think. But I really believe that our relationships are the biggest and most important thing that have like the biggest impact in our lives. And there are so many systems that we can set up in our relationships that will really help set things up towards success. And instead, the advice is like, hey, just wing it. Just wing it. The biggest and most important thing, like if you were driving a semi-truck across Canada, they wouldn't be like, there's the keys. Good luck, go. They'd be like, hey, here's the rules. Here's the way to do it. Here's the way to think about it. But instead, in relationships, we love to wing things. So I think the idea of bringing structure and rules into our relationships is really cool because these are things that you should share and build yourself with your partner. Every relationship is different. Every relationship is going to require different systems and structure. So I do believe in like building these together, but the idea is like getting on the same page. For me, relationship hacks that really work for us. Every relationship is going to require hard conversations, right? At some point, you're going to need a somber and serious conversation about something happening in your relationship. You're caught between in-laws. You're stuck between commitments. You're starting to feel resentful because the same thing keeps happening over and over again. Your partner's not showing up in the way that you need them to in that time. And eventually, if you're going to have a healthy relationship, you're going to have to call them out or be called in, and it's going to be uncomfortable. So something that we do is comfortable places for hard conversations. This means for us, this works really well. My girlfriend's love language is physical touch. That's my second most popular love language. We cuddle up together. We make it comfortable, get a cup of tea. We are connected physically when we are battling out mentally something that we are in two different places. And that has really helped create an environment in which we are able to come together and have these hard conversations. So that is a system, a rule, a hack, that the one that has really benefited us.
So what I'm hearing is when we're having an argument, my love language is touch. So we should try to have sex while arguing.
Yeah. That's of course what you would hear.
I think that's what everyone heard.
My love language is acts of service. So while we're arguing, do you
I
want
should
to
just
do
be
the
cleaning
laundry
things.
and doing all of that shit? And then I'll be like, this is amazing.
If you do it, if you're naked, I'll clean, and then we'll probably fix a lot of
Everything
things
will
quickly.
be just fixed.
I'm interested. That's interesting to me because your partner's love language is touch. What's your love language?
Quality time.
Okay, so
That's mine too.
so having a conversation. Yeah, it is yours. Yeah. Yeah. Having the conversation that you're having, does that fill your quality time bucket? Because it sounds like you're really shifting to make her situation comfortable.
My second one is definitely physical touch. I really enjoy that feeling of being cuddled up with someone. Maybe because I'm more European and a little bit more tactile, but yeah, I really enjoy it. It works for me, works for us. Something that we made together.
I love that. I've never actually thought about putting yourself in the love language to have the hard conversation.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Okay, can we dive into how the app works? So can you start from like the minute you sign up to the process that it takes, so just people understand like how it works? And then it's not a swingers app. It's not swingly.
It's not
Swingly. That's a good one. Whoa. Hey, check
Go
out
Daddy.
GoDaddy right now.
That's it. It's happening.
Yeah.
Let's do it, guys.
It's now in the
Team
ether.
effort.
We will
We've
not
got
release this for a couple
Halloween
of
lead
weeks.
move.
Yeah.
Halloween
There we
days and Swingly now.
I love it.
When it's interesting, we talked about love languages because the first thing that we do is we start your onboarding quiz in Coupley is to learn you and your partner's love language. And quite frankly, we think it's ubiquitous. Probably you do, I do, because we're in the space a little bit now. But if you speak to a regular chap on the street, he has no freaking idea what a love language is or what his partner's is. So that's the initial gentle kick up the arse to be like, wow, we have two different styles of affection that are important to us here, or two different ways in which we want our needs to be met or want to be loved. Starts with a love language quiz. From that point onwards, you start getting customized date ideas and relationship advice based on you and your partner's love language. So if your love language is physical touch, your partner's going to get a date idea saying, hey, Ryan's love language is physical touch, light the candles, buy this massage oil, set up a really sensual environment, and you're going to give your partner a relaxing massage. And then if your massage is acts of service, it's going to be like, hey, ask your partner, what is their most hated chore? What is the thing they don't want to do? Or what's hanging over them this week? Or just find out that thing and then do it for them. Or other things along this line, like making people dinner is a really nice one for people who have acts of service. Anyway, you start to get personalized relationship advice. Then we have questions. So each day you have a new question to answer. Some of these will be fun. Some of these will be very sexy, a little spicy. Some of these will be deep, and some of them will be hard and really around the values. John Gottman has this awesome phrase of discovering your partner's love map. Love maps are made up when each partner knows one another's internal worlds. So we know which direction our partner's going, why, what their values are, the way in which they make decisions, why they make decisions that way. And what we're trying to do is build a question library that helps couples constantly uncover or rediscover those love maps.
That's so
brilliant. And then the next one, we have games, and that's just like who's more likely to. And this is where you can be a bit more savage and have some fun. The games are really fun. They're low cognitive load, so people can hop on quickly, do a game, and see if you get the results right.
My question, okay, so about the questions, are you both sent the same question each day or different
You're
questions?
both sent the same question. You can answer it either through video, so you can record a video note, or through text. We'll be adding voice notes and photos as well. But what's neat about it is that you can't see what your partner has answered until you answer as well.
Wow.
So both those answers are hidden until both of you answered, then it's revealed and you can see what each other are saying.
It's like swipe. You can't swipe unless they've swiped.
How do you know that rule?
Because when my friend, it's because when I was doing it,
Research for Swingly.
Yes. No, when Allison was and Kristen, they were obviously separated. Yeah. We were like going crazy on their app. We're like swipe. And then anyways. So
that's something guys don't do.
What? Swipe?
Hey, single friend, let's swipe your phone.
Whoa, it's fun going through them all.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay. I love this idea of the questions though, because even when you answer them and then you hear your partner's answer wherever you are in the day, it allows you to connect at some point, like in person at the end of the day. Like Ryan and I are sometimes on complete opposite schedules, passing ships between our jobs and the kids, that we often don't talk until like 9:30, like actually speak to
on
you.
Friday.
Yeah. No, but like we're speaking, but they're usually transactional, right? Like, did you take this person? Yeah. You know what I mean? So I love this idea of it being more of an intimate conversation, because now you're speaking about things that are beyond being parents, beyond our job, because it's so easy to fall into those, like, well, how was your work day? And it gets monotonous. Like, it's just so boring, right?
You're so right. You're so right. Go on.
What I love about the app for me with respect to the questions is you sometimes, and we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, being in communication doesn't mean effective communication. Just because you're talking doesn't mean you're communicating. And you had mentioned to me before, when you looked at your previous marriage, you talked a lot, but never really communicated. And so I find that people inherently do the best they can with what they have. Like I genuinely believe that human beings do the best they can with what they have. Most people just are not equipped with the tools to have conversations that lead to outcomes that they're looking for. They're just not equipped with it. And that's why we talk about going to therapy and seeing a specialist and having those conversations. For me, your app is a step before therapy. It's an opportunity to speak with therapists, to have conversations that are geared towards your psyche, the way that you think, the way that you operate. And they're structured in such a way that you're going to find where you're ineffective just simply by answering the question. Wherever there's gaps between you and your partner, those are not like insurmountable gaps. Those are conversations that now get to be had. And you get to discover, as these conversations come up and these questions come up, how big and how significant those gaps actually can be. And that could lead to therapy. That could be like, you know what? We had this conversation. It hasn't gone really well, but it's clearly something that we now recognize. So there's friction there. And it's
not as scary, because I think people have a lot of like predetermined fear about therapy. Like something's wrong when you go to therapy. Where Couply sounds like it's like fun, it's enticing, it's engaging. So it's like a pregame before like having like, I think we should talk to a therapist. You know what I mean? Let's get pre-drunk before we get really drunk at the therapist.
So there's a lot of data. There's a lot of thought on this app, but like, let's just talk really quickly about where you pull this stuff from. Cause it's not coming, and I don't mean this any rudely. It's not coming from Tim, who had a fire, who thought of an app, who is very intelligent. Like the questionnaires, the thoughts and everything that you're coming from, it comes from a source. Where's the source from?
The biggest inspiration for me has been the 40 years of work from the Gottmans. The first, their book, 7 Principles of Making a Marriage Work, is just like a seminal. It's so good. I'm rereading it at the moment, and every page I'm like highlighting it. It's all highlighted and tagged up. So that's where it started. I think the love languages is a really great introduction to this stuff. It's very friendly for everyone. Sort of like a nice win-win thing to introduce people. So that's Gary Chapman's Love Languages. Getting the Love You Want by Harville Hendricks and Helen Hunt was awesome. The work of Helen Fisher around more on the evolutionary psychology stuff was really good. Dr. Sue Johnson, such an amazing book. Why have I forgotten the name of it? Hold Me Tight. And then more on the sexy side, Come As You Are has really helped us think of like accelerators and brakes, and sexual accelerators and brakes, and getting couples to think about what are their partner's real turn-ons. And we're putting this stuff in the app. Like so many books are essentially a product that's not an app, but yet have so many features of an app. And I'm probably sounding like such a tech bro, because a book is a book, and I'm an author as well, so this sounds really, really bad, but essentially so many of the things that really, because couples work involves two people, putting these great insights into a product that allows two people to explore it together makes so much sense.
And you have like a whole team of like writers that like help produce all of the questions. Like, it's just so impressive.
16 at the moment. They're awesome. And our conversations are such strange conversations to have in a workplace environment. But
fair.
we're in the relationship space, and we all knew what we were getting into, and it's a lot of fun.
I love that.
And the thing about the love language is, going back to that for a millisecond, because we've discussed this on the podcast numerous times, just simply knowing someone's love language isn't enough. And I find that most couples historically don't have the same love language. It's very rare. Now, you know that you've got the data. I would say it's very rare for two people to meet each other, find each other attractive, connect at a high level, become partners with each other, and share the same love languages. And I would say that if you did share the same love languages, more often than not, you probably would be in a really, really healthy relationship, which most people are in a healthy relationship, but not in one that can be where it could be. And so with you guys, with the tools that you guys offer, it's like, yes, this is Ryan's love language, and this is how you can show up every single day inside his love language. Yes, this is Brittany's love language, and Ryan, these are the things that you can do specifically for her today that will advance. And it's the unknown, unseen things, like me putting my laundry away that I don't think of, that all of a sudden Brittany comes home and she knows the laundry's there, and then all of a sudden the laundry's not there. And it's like, oh, that's something I don't have to pay attention to.
Well, it just lets your partner know that you're thinking of them. And this is why I think Couply is so revolutionary, because like we said, you're giving the tools. Most people just don't have the tools. They don't know what to do. Just because I know that your love language is touch, like, okay, maybe I don't show that love. Like, just because you receive love in a certain way doesn't mean that you show it in that way. So this is just, it's so cool. I can't wait to use it.
So how does someone get Couply? Let's go through that. Let's go through that. How do they reach you? How do they reach Couply? How do they go through that whole process?
We're available worldwide in the App Store. Just search Couply in Google Play Store or Apple App Store. That is by far the most simple way to do it. There is tons of free content in Couply, 15 weeks of free content for you to dig into. And I think hopefully we'll have a little TLC offer. Check out the show notes. Maybe Ryan will see.
Yeah.
Well, I think
a little something.
Because this isn't launching for a couple of weeks. Yeah. I think I'm confident to say this now. And if the time that we launch this, it's not ready, then we'll either delay the launch
or we'll delete this part.
Delete this part entirely, and it will just end abruptly. We will be, it's not official at this particular moment, but hopefully in a couple of weeks it will be official. We are going to be partnering up with Couply and offering your services to our audience and to our community. So there'll be significant discounts that are available for the Laughing Couple podcast. And, we'll see where that goes. But we're so proud of the work that you've done. We're so impressed by the work that you've done. Believe it or not, Brittany and I say believe it or not, but you and I have already talked about this, so you already know the whole story. What you're doing is what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
And,
we actually searched the name. We're like, which person?
We should call it Couply. We should call it Couply.
No, I'm just kidding. That didn't happen.
No, that never happened. But Brittany and I, being on this platform for the last 4 years, we have come to realize that we open up a lot of conversations for people.
Yeah.
But we're not responsible for the outcome. And there's a little bit of irresponsibility in opening up the toolbox and then not having the tools for the people. And so we've thought numerous times, what can we do to advance our connection with our audience, provide them with some structure and support for these hard conversations that we're opening up for people. We had a conversation a couple of weeks back about vasectomies.
Oh man.
And it blew up because there's a huge community.
That episode was wild.
There's a huge community that, it's just perceived that men have vasectomies because they're supposed to have vasectomies. It's an easier procedure. The women's go through a ton of things, and don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of men that don't want vasectomies, and it's kind of like yeah, but you're going to have one. And so even that conversation, we know, stirred up conversations in the household that probably didn't go really well. And so we've been thinking about what can we do? What can we create? What can we build that will create some structure inside this? And then when we discovered Couply, it was like, why reinvent the wheel when you've got this tool? So I can't wait for us to be able to launch this with you, or launch this to our community with you. So grateful for the opportunity. And just so nice to have you on this podcast.
Absolutely wonderful.
Oh, 10 out of 10.
Thank
you.
We could have done
it in British.
I know. Absolutely.
So I'm going to ask you one last question before we pop off. Outside of the structure, is there one advice that you've seen through the data that you'd say is the one thing that makes a significant difference in a relationship?
your feelings become thoughts that become behaviors. So learning more about your personality type, your attachment style, the way that you're structured helps you understand why some of these feelings are coming up, and that can change your thoughts and change your behaviors. So doing that self-discovery is a really beautiful way to benefit not only yourself, not only the relationships with your partner, but your relationships with everyone out there. So self-discovery, amazing thing. Awesome.
Unbelievable. Tim Johnson, founder, CEO, Couply. Thank you so much for the time, the energy, the effort, and the work that you're doing for people out there, because we believe it full-fledged. What happens in the household affects the community. And we're hoping to make a massive contribution to the world. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.
Take care.
Yeah.
Aside from my soul.